I have been giving gifts to my boyfriend 29 family at many celebrations without anything in return. Do I continue? Outed myself. My 26 boyfriend, 29 male, and I have been together for 2 years. His family is very big on hosting and throwing celebrations, whereas my family tends to only do large holidays together, which will be mostly centered around food as opposed to gifts. In the past year or so, I've been invited to his sister 28 birthday, his sister's baby shower, his mom's 60-something fend male birthday, his sister's kid's birthday, 2 Fendale, his sister's housewarming, his family's Christmas, and a couple other misc celebration. Every time I bring a gift, it's to the point where I've been spending more money on gifts for his family than my own birthday. So, however, I've never gotten a gift from his family. It's not really their fault / intentional, as we will tend to do our own celebrations for my birthday. So there's not really been an opportunity for his family to give me gifts other than Christmas. But the one-sided gift giving is starting to get to me. I've considered that maybe there isn't an expectation for me to bring a gift, but for most of these celebrations I'm invited to, it would be very odd not to bring one. Baby shower, birthdays. I've considered doing joint gifts with my boyfriend, but his mom also pointedly asked one time, "Is that the one from me?" Which made it seem like it was a given that I should have brought one. To be clear, I don't want / need any gifts from anyone in his family. I work a decently paid job despite being in ASCOL city, and my boyfriend and I are both more financially comfortable for our age than his family. However, the sheer number of celebrations I'm being invited to with an unspoken obligation for gifts is starting to build up, especially because it feels a little like the relationship is one-sided, as I've never received anything in return. With Christmas coming up, I wonder if I should continue bringing gifts or use this as an opportunity to work with my boyfriend and change our operating model, or do I just bring something that's cheaper, like some baked goods / chocolates / now for the comments before writing the update. NYC storyteller, you and your boyfriend should be giving joint gifts paid for by him, or you should stop gifting unless there's a clear expectation of reciprocity. You're not married to this guy, and they're not your family. Today, Udry to poop out. So most definitely start bringing some baked goods. Take on a baking hobby, but not too much time investment if you are not interested or want to give them that much effort, or even going to the store's bakery section to get cookies and putting them on your own separate tray at home. If they ask why the sudden switch, you can tell them baking from the heart is the best gift of all. Now for the update. Some commenters suggested that I was not being appreciative of being invited to family events. So I thought that maybe I was being too harsh. Well, with Christmas coming up, I was invited to Christmas with my boyfriend 29 family, but given his sister 28 family just had her second child with some health complications, we had a conversation and decided it made sense for me not to join them, as I've been flying a lot for work and don't want to put the newborn at risk. That made the conversation about doing joint gifts super easy with my boyfriend, since I physically wouldn't be there. Out of the blue yesterday, though, I received a text from my boyfriend's sister reminding me of their house address to ship gifts to, even though I've driven there multiple times. Then About an hour later, I receive a text from my boyfriend's mother telling me about how the sister's daughter has been a little upset recently, given the new baby, and that it would be great to get the toddler an extra gift to make her feel special. Since the attention has been on the newborn, on top of whatever I was planning to get the newborn, she did top it off with "you always give such nice gifts" as a nice compliment. Things or context. I grew up in a family that taught me not to buy gifts that you wouldn't want to receive. I bought very nice things for boyfriend's sisters, kids, for her daughter's birthday. Toys plus nice name brand clothing, like nice baby shower for the newborn. I brought this to the attention of my boyfriend, and he mentioned he'd let them know that he was bringing our gifts, but I have a feeling they'll misinterpret to think that we're still getting separate gifts. We will see how it goes next week, but I've been super put off by the texts that I've gotten from his family. It seems pretty blatant that they want gifts from me and are expecting it. But I'm glad that my boyfriend is planning to take care of the communication. Top comments. Lana, advice? That crazy entitlement. Clearly you give great gifts and they want more. But asking for gifts like that is very off-putting. I don't blame you for feeling that way. From now on, only give joint gifts with your BF. Nip this in the bud now. Limitless Megan is a BF problem. Just that he's let this go on so long, but he doesn't need to be telling them he's bringing the gifts. What he needs to tell them is, here is OP's wish list, because I know you didn't just reach out to someone not coming to our celebration to ask for gifts when you had no plans for giving her a gift yet again. And yes, I've noticed you haven't once returned any of the great gifts she's given you when it's her turn to get gifts. So I'll be bringing try gifts from us, and we'll happily bring her back your gifts to her. Material_cellist 41133. Who the hells takes gifts but doesn't give? To the point where they call you for the gift. Also, people saying being invited is the gift are takers. They don't give gifts. So don't listen to their advice. What kind of cheap ass family are you dealing with? You sure you want to be married into this type of family? Story 2. Am I the asshole for cutting off my sister and telling her she's no longer welcome in my house after threatening to sue me? Original post. So I have a sister who I love very much. Let's call her Jane. Jane is not my bio sister, but we grew up in the same household. For as long as I can remember, Jane has had this victim mentality. Mom died when she was young. Dad was never in the picture, but my mom, her aunt/godmother, took her in. She lived with us for 13 years before she got married and moved to Idaho with her husband. We never had the best relationship growing up, but I assumed it was just sibling rivalry and we would grow out of it. Like me and my baby sister, 25 female sister. My mom passed away in 2020, and Jane thought it was only right that she inherit my mom's engagement ring, even after declaring at the funeral that my mom was not her mom, just a woman who helped raise her. I then moved back into my parents' home because I felt bad for my dad and didn't want him to be alone. After converting the top floor of our 3-story home into a mini apartment for myself, Jane raised concerns that there would be no space for her to come home to during Christmases, but we made do. My dad recently paid off the home and signed the deed over to me under the condition that he live there rent-free until he dies, since I had been helping him pay the mortgage and would continue to pay the taxes on the home. I dismantled the apartment on the 3rd floor, making it once a 5-bedroom home. However, 2 of the bedrooms my sisters used to occupy are now a walk-in closet. and a room for my dogs. I added a pool, a new bathroom, renovated the kitchen, and turned the basement into a bar lounge area. Once this was completed, Jane asked me how we would split the sale of the home. I was confused as to what she meant. I was not selling my home. She stated that since my dad paid it off, that when he died, that house would go to all of us and we should just get ahead and sell the property now. I told her I was not selling and that my dad signed it over to me. She then said she would call someone to appraise the home and I would then have to buy her and my little sister out. When I told her again that I owned the home, I was not selling, and she wasn't getting any money, she threatened. I told her to leave. A few weeks later, she called my dad to ask what the plans were for Christmas and if I was going to be staying in a hotel since I could not be cordial. My dad told her I would not be staying in a hotel, but she was still welcome to come and stay with us. I politely informed him that she nor her family were welcome to stay, and if he needed to stay with her over the holidays, he could also stay in a hotel. Now she's called my whole family and gone on a campaign of how evil I am for doing this over the holidays. Most of my family agrees with her, except a few who do not want to be involved, saying that she only said she'd sue me out of anger after realizing something else was taken from her mom, her dad, my mom, now her childhood home. Which leads me to believe that maybe they are right. Am I being too harsh on her after all her struggles in life, or is she simply just a bitch? Edit, little sis is fine. Please stop worrying about her. She's not a problem. Hence why I did not list everything she got from our mom or our dad. Now for the comments before reading the update. Commenter, presumably she already inherited from both her bio parents, so why would she expect a share from her guardians as well? Let alone while one is still alive and living in the home she wants to sell out from under him. She literally intended to turf dad out of his home so she could profit after he lost his wife. She's a ghoul. OOP. She did not inherit anything from her parents. My dad's side of the family has the money. It's my mom's side. She's from commenter, minor error your dad made. It was not ideal for your sister/cousin to have no idea that the childhood home was deeded to you. While this is reasonable, given the money you put into it, and possibly also the time you've spent care of your aging dad, it would be better that this arrangement was known to all the kids and openly discussed. I can see why she was blindsided, but also horrible AH behavior. Your sister/cousin made. She wanted to sell your father's home while he's living in it. That's really appalling. What was your dad supposed to do? Is he very ill and expected not to live long? This would be so stressful for him. Why couldn't she let him live and die peacefully in his home? Oh, OP, I do think that he told her and she heard what she wanted to hear. And no, he's actually thriving. He just wanted to retire and not have to worry about bills or the house. So that's why he wanted to live there. He did say if my baby sister has a grandson for him and he would move in with her. I think he just wanted to be stress-free. Commenter, how old is your dad? Does he have an ironclad will that neither Jane or your other sister would be able to contest? Is your name on the deed for the house? Oh, PE is 60, does have a will. Little sis won't do that. Yes, my name is on the deed. Now for the update. The family wedding was over the weekend and everything there was great. No drama. I kept my distance from Jane. The bride was not out staged at all. Well, not by me, and the drama clicked. However, Sunday after the wedding, my Aunt Renee called me to ask if I would be coming to dinner to celebrate Christmas early since Jane was in town and would not be coming for the actual holiday. I politely declined, said I would send the children's gift with my dad, but there was no need to go and pretend that I was over Jane's behavior. My aunt then said, I would be upset too if you refused to give me my share, but gave little sis her share. That really shows a divide. I asked her to say that again because I think I hallucinated. Jane really has been out here saying I split the house with my little sister when I did not. I explained to my aunt what actually happened, and then my dad confirmed the information I gave. My aunt was shocked. Not only had Jane lied to her and the whole family, she also lied and said my dad never gave her anything. He gave me the house, my little sister, his business, and Jane a lump sum of money to start her bakery since she had no interest in running the family business. Jane is currently staying with Aunt Renee, but Renee is now upset and feels duped into this whole mess. Renee and my dad are both upset with Jane, but still believe that I should forgive and forget and move forward. Renee is going to talk to Jane tomorrow before she leaves to go back to Idaho, but I'm not sure it will do anything. Not a great / entertaining update, but I guess I felt compelled to finish the story. At this point, though, I don't care if I'm the asshole. I was surprised by the amount of comments saying but I don't need any more stress from these people. And whatever led me to, I might run into the person whose life I ruined at a work event. Original post. Almost a decade ago, I found out my fiance, who I had been with for many years, was still with Sarah, the woman he had been dating for years before we got together, the one he told me he had broken up with to date me. It broke my heart and horrified me. I was, in my eyes, essentially his mistress for the entirety of our relationship. And because I did not question certain things enough, I had allowed him to cheat on her with me. I decided shortly after I found out to go to Sarah's house and tell her the truth. It went about as well as you'd expect. After she initially opened the door, I quickly and succinctly word vomited his betrayal, my existence, the seriousness of our relationship, and how I never knew about their continued relationship until a few days earlier. I then told her I was done with him, would have known he was still with her, and thought she had the right to know what had been going on. She said nothing, seemingly stunned more than anything. After a long pause, she slowly closed the door in my face. I did email her once more after that to give her my contact information and offered to answer any questions she might have, because I certainly had a ton of questions about how so many years of my life were a lie, but she never reached out, and I didn't want her to feel like I was harassing her, so I left it alone after that. The last I heard, she and my ex had parted ways immediately afterward, and she moved to a neighboring state in a field unrelated to her previous business. Let's say that previous business was teapot design. She was a locally renowned teapot designer, which doesn't pay great, but she had tried hard for years to make it a profitable profession. And in one fell swoop, it ended because my ex had stepped out of his relationship with her for one with me. Fast forward to the present day, I am now working a prestigious dream job at a vaguely tea organization in the very Mayberry-esque small town that my ex and Sarah had lived in. Their old house is a short walk away from my new workplace. I have no fears that anyone in town knows of my involvement with her ex. She was a presence in the community and he was not. And They did a lot of things very independently of each other, so I actually doubt many people in town even knew my ex really existed. The sale of their house and her business happened so quickly that a lot of people locally didn't even know she had left for months after she had gone. He moved away at the same time. However, people in the area still know Sarah and remember her skills as a teapot designer fondly. A few weeks ago, I was meeting with a board member of mine over a tea project complete with a gala and on-site teapot designing station. He mentioned the possibility of bringing notable teapot designers in to work during the party to add to the experience, and specifically name dropped Sarah. I was very much caught off guard and tried to recover by casually asking, "Oh, I thought she had moved out of state a few years back." And then that's when I got to hear my board member give me the SparkNotes version of what I already knew. Things didn't work out with the guy she was dating. He was cheating on her, and she left. But she still comes back from time to time. She's giving some design classes, the local nonprofit, in a few months. The proposed gala may not happen. This board member tends to come up with grand ideas that don't always pan out or may not happen in the way my board member pictured it. However, the whole interaction has sent me spiraling and unlocked a new fear in me, meeting the person whose personal and professional life I ruined in my work setting. Maybe my board member's plan does go through, and a gala is organized with Sarah in attendance. What should I do? In my role at this organization, I'm most likely going to be in some form of contact with her at such an event. My last name has changed since we met, but she will probably still recognize my face, despite the fact that I've aged a bit since our only face-to-face interaction. I also have no idea how she feels about me after all this time. I don't know if she blames me for what happened and harbors resentment towards me. From the little I know of her, I don't think she would cause a scene. But I simply do not know. Should I pretend I'm just meeting her for the first time? Do I have a responsibility to share the situation with my board member and my boss in case something happens during any interaction with her, or to get them to help me stay away from her? Should I just try my best to just avoid her without explaining? I mean, that might be hard to do, but the other day I had a really hard time this afternoon. I never thought I'd have to deal with my ex's ex in a workplace setting. The relationship with my ex was very traumatic, and not just because of what happened to Sarah, me years of therapy to deal with the fallout of that relationship. This new potential situation is giving me nightmares. Now, for the update, I want to thank everyone who took the time to comment on my post. I especially thank everyone who spoke with kindness to me about my situation. I obviously still hold much shame for my role in this torrid love triangle. I was catastrophizing and projecting. I assumed that this incident had damaged her as much as it damaged me. And the bulk of the comments got me to actually thinking that maybe none of this was a big deal to her at all, especially not after 10 years. So I decided to let it go. About 3 months after my letter was published, in a similar meeting with my boss and the same board member, the board member brought up Sarah again as a designer for the gala that may or may not happen in the future, praying for the project we were working on. He repeated the conversation almost verbatim that Sarah was last. I finally asked him how he knew Sarah was back in the area, and she said she moved back to my major city over an hour away and was running a few designing classes at a local nonprofit, which I confirmed on their website. Oh, God. The meeting ended. I asked my boss if she had a minute, and I calmly, professionally laid out the situation of one of the most traumatizing events of my personal life, giving my boss only the relevant details and expressing my concern over Sarah seeing me, that it might be best if I had a backup house role if this project did move forward. My boss suggested that we go with another designer for the project. However, I didn't want to take any work away from Sarah. My boss reassured me by saying it's not the board members' decision who we pick, if we even do pick a designer. She also guessed that he was so fixated on Sarah because his wife had taken private lessons from Sarah in the past. There are plenty of other designers in the area, and if we even do this project, it's up to event staff for scheduling any designers, not a board member. And also, we weren't even at that stage yet. And she commented on me having a better catch with my husband, who everyone in my job knows and loves. She didn't know my ex personally, but she had heard things about him based on the breakup with Sarah. So based on no actual research, but hearsay, I think Sarah moved back to our state a little while ago, but is well over an hour away from this small town. I believe she is still working in the job she picked up after she left here, and is doing design on the side with her old contacts in this area. Maybe one day she'll move back to the area, but with housing prices the way they are, I doubt that will be anytime soon. And even if it is, she's every right to move to this town, and I have every right to work here. A few weeks after this meeting, I was pulling out of the parking lot of my local grocery store when I saw my ex. He did a double take. My car is very conspicuous. I had just bought it weeks before we broke up, and then started smiling and waving as if we were old friends. I had sunglasses on and pretended not to see him, but it sent me spiraling. That grocery store is not exactly one along a major route. It's mostly lived nearby. I don't know if it was healthy, but I looked up property records in our county using his name. Turns out he bought a house 1.5 miles away from me a year after my husband and I bought our house. He's literally within walking distance of my home. Is it a coincidence? Probably, but I still feel so violated. He took so much away from me in the 10 years we were together, and for several years after that, he chased me out of a nonprofit I loved that we both volunteered at because he wouldn't leave me alone to do my own thing there. Kept trying to be friends and kissed me when we were doing a task alone. My response was to slap him. He has shown up to 2 previous workplaces under the guise of conducting business, so I couldn't kick him out, and even sent an anonymous package to my house a month before my wedding with books that only he would have thought I would have liked. It was confirmed, sent by him when he was confronted about it. I don't feel safe interacting with him, although I couldn't tell you what I am afraid of exactly. He told me right after I broke up with him that he had sociopathic tendencies, and I don't really know what that means. I don't want to have to look over my shoulder wondering if I'm going to run into him at the store with my child. I don't want him anywhere near me or knowing anything about my life these days. But I also recognized that my spiraling so long after our breakup was only hurting me. I've been in therapy ever since. But I don't think I would have considered any of this as trauma without the wonderful commenters on this blog And a special shout out to commenter Don't Send Your Kids to Hudson University for recommending the Something Was Wrong podcast. I'm on season 16 at the moment. It really did help me put my own experience into a kinder perspective, hearing similar stories of people who were emotionally and mentally abused and also struggled with letting go of these relationships. So still feeling lots of shame about the situation, and now aware that a man with sociopathic tendencies who thinks he did nothing wrong to me lives less than a 5K race away from me. But I'm trying to navigate through it.